Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here is another of the great acoustic classics. It's one of the songs that guitar lessons always feature, and it's one I've been avoiding for a while for a couple of reasons. One is I like to build up and show you all the elements that go into a song like this, rather than just learn it by brute fact and have you know exactly physically what you're doing, but not where the ideas come from and how you can utilize them elsewhere. You can learn a song like this straight from tab 02020 and remember it only in that way. In fact, you can actually learn it from a person playing with you, and they'll say, well, we're going to play this string open and hammer on this note and play this string open and then put this note on it and then hold these and strum. And you'd actually learn it just fine and you'd know it quite well. But what I want to do with songs is know where all these ideas are coming from. So we've actually been building this system up for a while. We learned our G. We learned how to make a bigger G that has two notes on the top, the G and the D, then this low G. We can add the B finger and have a full G chord. Apart from all your other C's and D's, we also saw we could move these two fingers up a string into a C chord, remaining with the D and G on top, keep them in a D chord, and go to an E minor. In all these cases, rather than worrying about whether this is E minor 7 or this is D sus 4 or C add 9 or C add 2, the guitarist is really thinking we're playing a system of chords that holds onto these notes. We saw this first then in Green Day's song Good Riddance. I call them the Green Day chords just because that's where I became familiar with them. I feel ridiculous now looking back through decades of music and seeing the exact same thing happen before. But we saw that we had G's, and E minors. This E minor to G is the focus of the intro in Wish You Were Here. So the same two chords with the same grip. We then take that Green Day song, and as a joke I say that if we play it in reverse, we get Sweet Home Alabama. In there we saw how the pentatonic minor and the pentatonic major interplay. We've got the G pentatonic major slash E pentatonic minor, which was E, G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, D, E, G. Functions in both a G, so it's a G major, or it's an E minor. The riffs are running up the 5th and 4th strings in Sweet Home Alabama. O2, we get a hammer on, O2, O2, and then on the 3rd string 2-0. So all of those ideas then are in play in Wish You Were Here. We have the E minor to G, E minor to G. We have a new chord we haven't used before. These two notes of the E minor go onto the next two strings. As you know, every time we move from E up a string, we move into some kind of A chord. So we get an open A string, 5th string. These twos, the E note on the 4th string, the A note on the 3rd, and then these two notes stay in there, so it's an A with a sus 4, the D, and a 7, the G. So it's an A7 sus 4. So the song starts with E minors, G's, E minors, G's, E minors to these A7 sus 4s, E minor 7 to A7 sus 4, back to G. So I wanted to have all of those details in place before you got here. You've learned one new chord, as I like to do. One new chord, one new key, or one new chord, one new song. So we've got this A7 sus 4. It's going to show up in this same chord system in other songs, where we continue to hold the G and the D note on top of your chords. They ring ring out as these little bright drones. The other reason I have trouble deciding how to teach this song is I've written out a fairly detailed map here of the strum pattern, and I tried to adhere to that when you heard it earlier, but I really don't play it like that. Between the riffs, each of the strums seems to have an improvisational aspect to it, like they're being made up as they go. With that in mind, I like to come up with a pattern that feels right to me, that duplicates the sense of the song, but also I get to play a feel I like. This would be a version I would play. I can't even tell you exactly what the down and ups I'll be playing are, but we get the pentatonic. That's the O2-O2. That's either E minor pent or G major pent. In this song, we're going from E minors to G's, so it's actually going to function as both. I strum an E, walk a pent into the G, G pent, E again, 2-O-2-O in reverse into the A chord, E into the A, and back into G's. So what I've written out here is a really hybridized way of playing through the entire thing with some accuracy to the recorded version. We're going to hold our E chord, we'll walk into it, so we get O2 on the 5th string, open D and then E note, the root of the chord, on the 4th string. In my first version, the tabs tell us to hit the 3rd string and then strum. I treat all my E's the same. I basically strum instead of that open. So I am going. But in the one I've written here, we go O2, O2, 3rd string, strum the top of the chord, then do it down up on it. This is just indicating the same chord playing sort of in the middle. When you see tabs that tell you to play precisely 2 strings like this, that's likely not your concern. You're just aiming your strum here at the middle of the guitar, here at the top of the guitar, holding the same chord. When people read tabs sometimes, they'll look at it and go, okay, well I guess I need these 3, 3, and O now, and this O and 2 now, and this 3, 3, and O again. And they think through it like that rather than thinking we're holding this, the 2 and O are in the middle of the chord, the 3s are on top. So tab is trying to direct you toward the focus of the chord. So the pattern there. Then we walk down the pentatonic. This brings us into the G chord. As we get there, 2 higher strums of G, the low bass note, followed by a high strum, then a high strum here on the 3s. I've got indicated here 16th note, so I'll do an up and then hit the bass note, and then we're back into the riff, into E again. So in slow motion, that entire first line, O2, O2, 3, strum, down, up, middle, high, walk to the G, strum, bass, up, down, up, bass. That got me through my first line. When I play, my next E is going to sound just like the first. But here's a more accurate tabbed version. After we've done our riff, and we land in the E with this note, then we do the strum as I indicated before, then a down on the higher notes, a down up, and a down. So we're going to go bass note as we landed on it, down, 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 up, down. From here, down, 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 up, down, and then the descending line on the G again. We're going to play the exact same G. Now I have a new E again, almost the same. Bass, strum, and an up. Down, down, up. Down, up. So coming from the G again. So you can see the details are very, very minutely different as we go. This is why I don't actually change them when I play. Here it is again. I'll try to do exactly what I've written for the first two lines. E is slightly different. G is the same. E is slightly different. Into the A. E is the same. Into a different A. So that was pretty close to what I wrote here. I've got you through here. This G is the same. In this E then, what I've tried to indicate is we've landed on our bass note. Notice I'm always going directly into the chord. I've got a little down up strum on the top of the chord. Another down, down up, down up. So from the bass note. That's what we have in there. Bass, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. We walk down the pentatonic from the 4th string to the 5th string for the A chord. When you get there, you put the A chord on. We have one indication of a note on the 4th string. I had to break my bar up for space, and here I've got the chord. Down, up, down, a tiny rest on the 16th of the 2, and then an up, down. So here's the walk into the A. Same walk into the E again. I'm using these arrows to show I want the same E chord. Walking into A again, same walk in, and here's the new A. Then on the 16ths, we do an up, 2, O, and then a little hammer on. We're basically going into a G early, although we haven't really indicated the chord yet. That's O2 on the 5th string, a little mid-range strum, and then a strum that includes the top string. So when I get to that G, I'm strumming, big strum down, then a down up, then a strum indicated with a down, the bass note on the 3. A strum, bass note on the 3, and a down, up, down. I'll bring that from this E to the last A and to the ending Gs. So we've walked into E, here, walking into our last A. Walks into A, same E, into the different A, and that's it for your intro chords. I know it's pretty confusing. Hopefully you can follow along. Hopefully you also recognize the value of just playing it a little bit by feel. Get the timing on the main parts and then strum the beats as you feel them. The next part of the song goes C to D to A minor to G. Exact same thing repeated, except the D and C are reversed. So we get C to D, A minor to G, D instead of C, C after the D this time. After that, you're back to your E minors again, going through the E minor pentatonic / G major pentatonic. There are going to be some licks in this too, in the pentatonic that we have not done yet. We're going to use this song to introduce a new position of the pentatonic scale. Right now we've been playing just one position. That's a G note. We know we have G's to A's, so we can go out to this A. We have D's to E's, so we can go from this D to this E. A to B. I'm not going to throw all that at you right now. We'll use that for another day. Thanks a lot. Hopefully you can make some sense of this.